Welcome back into the Fox 43 podcast studios. Andrew Calista from Fox 43 Sports. We're talking NFL draft. A couple picks are in. We got also from Fox 43 Sports, Evan E.B. Brooks, and joining us for this segment, executive producer extraordinaire, Ed, the Edward Albert Ed. I couldn't come up with a cool nickname right there, so I just called you Edward. But
Edzo works.
Edzo. Okay, we'll go with Edzo right there. Listen, the first three picks of the NFL draft are in. EB, I'm going to send it over to you since you did our Fox 43 mock draft. Initial thoughts inside your cranium.
Yeah, I mean, as we talked about earlier before, Trayvon Walker, super high upside, definitely has the traits, the length to be a super productive pass rusher at the next level. He didn't really get to shine on that Georgia defense just because they had so many players, but when he played, you knew he was out there, and he definitely made some impact plays. Going to number 2, Aiden Hutchinson, like you said, you're a Big Ten guy, you've seen him. He balled this entire past season, super high motor, super high upside guy. Fits the Dan Campbell mode. We know Dan Campbell's a little wild and crazy, and Aiden Hutchinson plays like it. And then Derek Stingley at 3, kind of a bit of a surprise. We had heard that he had been a riser in the NFL draft. A guy with super high upside, very good, very talented cornerback. Obviously didn't play up to the level that he was capable of his freshman year, but still those flashes he showed as a freshman were just ridiculous. First time since 1992 that the first 3 picks in the NFL draft have been defense, so it's just going to show you that guys are trying to stop these high-powered offenses, and these 3 guys will each help their teams do that.
Couple things, Andrew. I love what you said there, Evan, about the Aiden Hutchinson going to Detroit. Like you said, Dan Campbell, you saw how they started playing for him toward the end of the year. Obviously
Absolutely.
The Lions were horrendous, but they rallied around him as their coach. I think he's building something there in Detroit that we haven't seen in a long time, and I think bringing in a guy like Hutchinson, we've seen a Callista, as we were doing all year last year, Nittany Game Week. We're covering Big Ten, we're covering Michigan and Penn State games. We're seeing these guys, and this is a character guy that you want to come in.
Absolutely.
And you want to talk about stats. We talked about the first pick, D-line, hasn't happened since 2017. It's only happened 15 times. And that 2017 pick, familiar, if you're a Steeler fan, listen out there, Myles Garrett was the last D-line to go number 1 overall. So,
I mean, just going back, I just want to give a shout out to the Penn State fans. The top 2 picks were not from the same team. It wasn't going to happen this year, but it's another year that Penn Staters get to say the last time number 1 and number 2 came from the same university was LeVar Arrington and Courtney Brown in 1999, and just reverse the order on the way I said that with Courtney Brown going number 1 to the Browns. My initial thoughts on this were, you're listening to this, and obviously the Jags were conflicted, not over firing Urban Meyer. Obviously they were pretty solid on that one, but hey, Herbs, how you doing? I wonder if Herbs is in his bar. Watching this draft.
Are we going to get any pictures of you tonight?
I was going to,
you're not putting your hands anywhere.
Yeah, maybe Urban Meyer's like out at his restaurant, and watching this, being like, "Good pick, Jags. Good job on that." No, but it's Trevor Lawrence obviously was a hometown pick. He was obviously the best quarterback in the draft last year, but it ended up being a hometown pick for the Jags. And where does Georgia play a game? World's largest outdoor cocktail party or tailgate party, as it's now called. But the so Georgia fans coming down there. I mean, hey, Jags, Con needs to sell tickets.
Yeah.
They need to get out of it. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying that had something to do with it, because you're not going to take a guy solely on that.
Of course.
But if you're looking at 2 guys that are evenly and that are 50-50, and you're putting half a chips in each thing, what's going to be that one little gram of weight that tips a scale to a draft pick? And I mean, we know these guys are doing research, and maybe that has something to do with it.
Don't forget too, down to Jacksonville, Etienne should be back this year for them. So that was a big part of how they started out so poorly last year. They lose him right off the bat in the preseason. And so you figure if they don't hire Urban Meyer and he doesn't get hurt, maybe something more special happens down there in Jacksonville. So, you bring in a defensive guy, now you can kind of start building stuff back up again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned it, Calista, obviously going Trevor Lawrence at 1 last year, and to get a guy like Trayvon Walker, who, again, as I mentioned, his upside is just so high. He has the potential to be one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, and just to get down there and kind of change that culture, as you guys were alluding to, coming from a highly reputable program like Georgia. Obviously, he knows how to play. That's what you want. That gets your fans excited and gives, them a reason to come out and watch the team. So definitely, a crazy start, as we talked about, super unpredictable, but for Trayvon Walker to go down there, I think he'll have a chance to make an immediate impact.
I predict in a couple years that NFL coaches are going to know who Trayvon Walker is. They're not going to get the Aaron Donald treatment of like, who's this number 99 on film that we should pay. Okay, enough of beating on the Jags and Herbs and everything like that. My quick thought on Aiden Hutchinson, let's just hope, and I think it will work out better than the last time the Lions went at, I believe it was at number 2. Somebody could look up this history real quick. I'm just spitballing off the top of my head. Charles Rogers was the number 2 pick at wide receiver. He was a hometown guy coming from Michigan State over. Let's just say Aiden Hutchinson is going to work out better for Detroit, especially with Dan Campbell there, than that wide receiver pick. I think they got a great one. Tremendous motor on number 97. Unfortunately, we had to watch that for years in the Big Ten as Penn State fans. And real quick on Derek Stingley, I mean, that's just, like he was a riser in the draft. Start the year, maybe you saw him as a top 10, then he was dropping back. Now he's coming back up. But to be selected at number 3 from the Texans, and man, going back to, what was it, Evan? You said 1992, right?
92, yeah.
We're now 4 in a row, all defense.
Yeah. Nuts.
The Jets take Gardner, the cornerback out of
Sauce
Cincy.
Gardner.
So
wow.
So now the top 4 picks, all defense.
All defense.
Who
and out of Cincinnati. Out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
but
just.
they had such a good year last
Well,
year.
yeah,
but they
I mean,
got a lot of good stuff on tape.
Yeah.
They were coached up well too, so that they've got some good players.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
there.
this is go ahead.
The program's there. That's all I want to say for Cincinnati. When people are talking about, like, this is always my thing. When you could play in big bowl games, and this is just me talking on college football, and with conferences being moved and things like that, when you have guys, when you're playing in big bowl games, and then you have this, I mean, that's just insane. But go ahead on Sauce Gardner.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just saying this is a guy who didn't allow a touchdown all year. Like, I don't care who you're playing against. To not allow one touchdown all year is ridiculous. And we saw him in the semifinal game against Jameson Williams, another receiver in this draft who's going to be drafted pretty high. He held him to 1 catch for -2 yards. So Sauce Gardner, a great pick for the Jets. They needed a cornerback. And again, we're just seeing this run on defense. These guys know that these offenses are high-powered, and you got to have the length, you got to have the pass rushers, and you got to have the cornerbacks to match up with these receivers. So these guys are going high, and for good reason.
Absolutely.
I'm your casual fan guy. So does it get any better than the nickname Sauce? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Is he marinara? What is he?
I don't know.
What kind of sauce?
It might be
Carabini?
mumbo sauce.
Is he
DC reference right there.
Like, is he basil and herb? Like, what is
Well,
he?
and I mean, he's also going to New York, so maybe it is marinara. You know what I mean? But I mean, so you gotta love a guy with a great nickname.
Yeah, excellent nickname for sure.
He's whatever. If he decides to live in the city and he's in one of the boroughs, whatever one he's closest to, we got to pick one. Of the great ethnic food that they have all around New York City. That's the kind of sauce he's going to be. So, Jets fans are just hoping he's not burnt sauce.
Yeah,
Ooh.
exactly.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying.
He's not barbecue sauce.
No burnt ends. They don't want any burnt ends there.
That's funny. Talking about the thing, I mean, you got 2 corners going in the top 4 here.
Crazy.
And things like that. And this isn't an era with all the defense, when offense dominates, when you can't even, get a little breath on a receiver in the NFL, or it's pass interference or a holding thing. I mean, that just shows the premium that you're putting on corners, hoping that you have that lockdown guy, that Darrelle Revis, that Richard Sherman type of guy. Yeah. More recently, Deion Sanders type, going back to prime. Obviously, I want to give him a shout out. But that type of guy in this era in the NFL.
Yeah, you need it. I mean, if you can have a corner who can shut down one side of the field that you're not worried about on Sundays, that just makes your job as a defensive coordinator and a defense just so much easier. Like we said about the rising contracts for wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, guys like that, Devontae Adams, guys like that. And Sauce is going to a situation where the receivers in the division aren't super, super great. You got Stephon Diggs with the Bills, obviously, and now Tyreek Hill with Miami. So, you got those 2, top 5 receivers, but, he's going to a situation where he's going to have his work cut out for him for sure. And, to put him on one side and just say, hey, you take out Diggs, you take out Hill, we'll worry about the rest of the defense. Can't ask for anything better.
Ed, drop some knowledge.
All right, here. The Giants selection is in. The commissioner is standing there. We're all waiting. You're already seeing it home. Yeah, there it is. All right, so that sounds good. And let's see.
Deflate this, Roger. Boo.
Oh, man, this guy behind this, if you're watching us, multi-screen viewing, you've got us on your phone, you're watching the draft on the big screen. Goodell's hype guy there. He is really getting it going.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, that is energy. That is energy.
I've never seen a guy embrace his hate so much.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it couldn't be me. So
not Gary Bettman. He does not embrace the hate for the NFL.
My goodness, they're very slow at this. You'd think that this would be more well-produced. Oh, it's a Make-A-Wish kid. That's awesome. Look at this.
That is awesome.
All right, so sorry, Callista. I took all the thunder here.
You take it, man.
They're taking forever.
I'm just looking at
Here he comes.
Cale Ahern, our digital
He's
executive
back here.
producer.
He's switching all the stuff for
right
us.
now. I'm
He's
looking
doing
at
a great job.
I'm looking at his mock draft, and I see him 0 for 4 right now.
Well,
I know it's been tough, Kale. I'm just giving you a shout out here. That's all.
that's good. He's not in here to defend himself. So
Exactly. That's why I'm
can't
taking
yell
it.
at you.
That's why I'm taking it right now. I locked the door.
Kayvon Thibodeau, Oregon, all defense, top 5.
We just talked
I
about
love
it
it,
a couple
guys.
minutes ago.
Yeah.
I think that's a steal, by the way. I do. I think it's a steal. That was pretty much the consensus number 1 draft pick coming in preseason. So hey, go at it, man.
No, yeah.
4.5 40-yard dash. That's pretty fast.
That is pretty fast, especially for a DN. No, I mean, that's a great pick for them. I mean, Joe Shane obviously coming over from Buffalo. Those guys know how to draft. We've seen how quickly they've built a winning team over there. So, he clearly believes in Kayvon's talent, as he should. Like you mentioned, Callista, I mean, to be the preseason number 1, obviously, slipped a little bit here. But the kid's got talent, and he can ball. So.
Questions about his motor? I think if you're the Giants, you feed into that.
Yeah.
You keep telling them, hey, people didn't want us. You weren't good enough to be drafted number 1.
Yeah.
You're not good enough. And he says like, hey, my energy's fine. Everything else. The rumors of playing hurt most of the year, things like that. So I mean I think Big Blue's been terrible. Giants have been terrible lately. So
the folks at the mothership have him ranked above average in all categories. So I mean,
above average.
hey, that's what I mean. You'll take that though if you're the Giants, right? I mean, you've underperformed for so many years now. They could have drafted anybody and fulfilled a need that they needed to go to. So
they could have went with a quarterback.
Well, that's
after the news today with Daniel Jones' option not being picked up, they could have went with a quarterback. So.
Well, and it seems like top 5 picks, all defense.
Yeah.
These quarterbacks that everybody was talking about, and it was, oh my gosh, got to get these quarterbacks. Well, now look at what's happening.
Yeah,
everybody's falling down. Mm-hmm. So
weak class. I think that says
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, it's a weak class. And so I think hopefully this is talking some sense into some of these teams that are saying, oh, we got to go get this quarterback. You've got Carolina coming up here in a couple of picks. Mm-hmm. They were one of the ones in on Kenny Pickett. They were the we did the preview for you on the FOX43 Draft Frenzy earlier this afternoon. Chris Carter told me when we talked, the Carolina Panthers were the only other team to send a full-blown head coach GM to Pitt's pro day. Yeah. So, I mean, how can you take Kenny Pickett that high after you've just seen how the top 5 is played out?
Yeah.
You're not going to get any better defenders now. If you want defense in this draft, you're going to see people trading up for defense right now because it's going to be all gone.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's an excellent play. And then, going back to the Giants, I mean, 2 picks in the top 10. They're right after Carolina at 7. So, clearly they thought high enough of Kayvon to say, hey, he may not be there. Somebody might trade up. We got to get our guy. And now we can go back to the well and fix the offensive line, which was horrible last year, and pick one of these tackles who haven't been picked yet.
Thank you.
That everybody was mocking in the top 3. So
where's no big guys? No big guys. Like, come on, man. Like, I mean, it's like born into you that there's going to be a quarterback taken in the top 5, and there's going to be a big ugly on the outside that's going to be taken in the top 5, and that has not happened. I got to tell you, I'm kind of shocked that we've been all defense so far and things like that. Ed, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Since you talked to Chris Carter,
Jeez, you're putting me on the spot. I don't think I remembered every single thing we talked about here.
Dude, your head is
Kale,
huge.
you're producing. Can you pull the interview up for us? Just play it back for Callista.
Carolina Panthers, if they do not go quarterback, does that change anything for the Pittsburgh Steelers with the rumors of them taking a quarterback, being that all these quarterbacks are dropping?
Well, I think that here's the thing, and I talked about this with Chris, is the Steelers are going to need a quarterback eventually, but as you mentioned, this isn't the strongest draft class. So why go for a reach? If you can get a guy, they've obviously seemed to have been higher on the kid out of Liberty, Malik Willis.
Liberty.
The Limu Emu is not who we're talking about here, but I mean, so they Tomlin and crew seem to have been higher on him, but they've also seen Kenny Pickett day in and day out. They use the same facility during the entire season.
They have lunch with
They
him.
talk to right. They're sharing the cafeteria, so you don't necessarily need to scout him as much, if you will. You're seeing him all season long, but it still feels like a reach. Whether it's Willis, whether it's Pickett, I think it's still a reach to try to go up and get a quarterback that high. I know they're at 20, kind of in the middle, but it just seems like with this class, they shouldn't do it. The guy that Chris mentioned and who I think that really could be one to watch for is the Jordan Davis trade up, is what they've been talking about. The big guy out of Georgia.
Yeah, he's a freak athlete.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm, so you know how much of that is. That's the scenario they're talking about, is maybe the Steelers could trade up. There was some talk about maybe the Seahawks wanting to drop back. There was some talk of maybe one of the other teams with multiple picks dropping back. And the way you see defense going here, Callista, you could see it. I would like to see a scenario as a Steelers fan, someone that's covering the Steelers, move up. You're at 20. Give up maybe the second round pick. Maybe give up a third rounder and a fourth rounder or some sort of package to maybe move up, I don't know, 6 spots, and maybe he falls to you there.
Yeah.
Maybe Jordan Davis falls to you there, and you can kind of shore up one of your needs. And that was the other thing we talked about with the Steelers is the big need is O-line and D-line. And D-line right now, you could help out. You've got Watt. You've got an aging Cam Hayward, still an elite playmaker at his position, but you bring somebody like
let him
this in.
tutor somebody. Get him in there. Let him.
You bring somebody in. You can get a 1-2 punch at the beginning and work on a guy.
If we're going to tutor guys at the quarterback spot, and we're going to tutor people to go to the SAT and college prep, unless you're a Hollywood celebrity's daughter or something that you can just buy your way into college, like tutor them. I mean, you're spending millions of dollars on a draft pick. Let him learn from one of the best. And Cam Hayward, I mean, is he going in the Hall of Fame? I don't know.
The only thing I think that may hold him back is he doesn't have a ring.
Well,
that they weren't able to cash in with a ring during his
run
tenure.
The ball more on third down when you had Le'Veon Bell. Maybe you do. So
we're not going to go back and have revisionist
let's
history.
not
we're
rip
looking
open
toward
old
the future here.
wounds here and get me
Yeah.
going on that. But as a Steeler, obviously I'm a Steelers fan. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. I was when I saw mock drafts that had them taking a quarterback and everything, I was squarely against that. Just because there was guys out there, go out, use it to rebuild, get solid pieces that you're going to hit on, and get them in and rebuild everything. And then when you have those pieces in place that are going to be cheaper long-term, go out, find your quarterback, then get that piece put in place, because the best way to win in the NFL is when you have quarterbacks right now, when you have quarterbacks on the rookie deal. And I know that's kind of like, you're counting too many, chickens before they're hatched and things like that. And I get that. That's just my thought process.
But you get enough of a window though, right, Evan? I mean, you get 5 years on the rookie deal. Yeah. I mean, and you see what's going on, like you mentioned, with Kyler Murray's situation in Arizona right now, wanting that extension right now. But why would you give it to him? Why wouldn't you try to use the year to extend it and try to take another run at it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you want to delay that as much as you can to, pay that quarterback. But, these first round quarterbacks, man, I know they're coming in hot. I mean, guys, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. I mean, he's already been to the Super Bowl in year 2, and they're only getting better. So, it's definitely, and these guys have good infrastructures in place, right?
We need a stinger. It's the Megan is it 3 Stallion? What is it? Megan Stallion.
Megan Stallion.
I'm coming in hot.
I can't believe I know that.
From the Popeyes commercial. That's what we need. Every time you say coming in hot, I want that played.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of building the team around and then dropping the quarterback in. So.
I'm with you, Evan, and I think that's the thing, that sort of separates where we see the NFL right now from some of the other leagues is that's how a lot of teams get built. You look at the NBA and you look at the NHL, you're building around these superstars and you're filling in with the role players, but you don't have as much money to play with as you do in the NFL now. Yeah. With the NFL, the quarterback they're the stars. I mean, the quarterbacks are the ones you see in every commercial, all the promotional material. It's quarterbacks. So it makes it harder to do the team building, which I think the way you've laid it out makes the most sense, but it makes it harder because you have to sort of work around the mainstay of the team and try to build around it instead of saying, okay, let's divide the pie up evenly and get everybody in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pick is in.
Pick is in for the Panthers. Not a quarterback, as we were just alluding to.
No.
If the Panthers don't take a quarterback. Matt Rule, I am not surprised. Linebacker from Penn State, their head coach. Yeah, tricking everybody right there. Just talking about Matt Rule. He goes, not surprisingly, in my mind, because I've talked to him a couple times. He goes, big guy up front out of North Carolina
Is that a
State.
humble brag, Callista? Just name dropping like that?
Probably one of the worst interviews I've ever conducted, by the way, in front of humans. So I'm just throwing people. It was a long time before I got here. It was not pretty, but hey, Matt's a cool guy in my book. NC State offensive tackle Akeem Ekwanyu.
Ooh, yeah, no, that's a great pick. I mean, their O-line is just flat out horrible. Like, I'm just going to be honest. It's been bad. It's been bad for years, and that's, you still have Sam Darnold there. I mean, obviously they weren't sold on somebody like Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis or feel like they can get them later in the draft. So, to build up that O-line is a great pick for Matt Rule. Obviously, this is a guy who's might be on the hot seat, so, to get somebody to protect whatever quarterback is back there. They might trade for Baker Mayfield as well, so we've heard. So, great pick.
Ed, coming to you. Is this a pick not coming from – because when coaches are on hot, hey, you need to make an impression. quarterback, things like that. Is this the owner and management saying, hey, you are on the hot seat. We're going to get a key piece. So our next person who possibly comes in isn't married here. So we don't have a Washington Commanders situation.
I mean, I think that's one way you could look at it. But I think that you could also look at it as, hey, we're putting some confidence into you. You're our guy.
True that.
We want you to go out and get who you think is going to help us the best immediately. And so if this is where there's, I mean, obviously Carolina has a lot of needs. Yeah. They could have went anywhere. Yeah. But if they're saying that, our biggest thing is we want to be able to protect Sam Darnold, maybe we're going to want to be able to protect Baker Mayfield. Yeah. We're going to go get the big guy. You see me. I'm a big fan of the big guys. Got to love the linemen.
Give the linemen like a big guy sitting over there.
Give the linemen some love.
Yeah.
So you go out and they're putting in, a little bit of confidence into Matt Rule. Maybe that's the way I would look at it. Is they're saying, hey, you go build it. Now, it also works in the reverse if they say, well, we're going to get rid of you. You still get an excellent playmaker on your offensive line.
Absolutely. So hey, we're getting the tug from Kale that says, hey, the tug to toss the break here. That we are going to take a little quick break, real quick. New York Giants, they are the ones on the clock. That is pick number 7, and it's acquired from the Chicago Bears before the draft. So we're going to step aside real quick. We're going to let a couple picks roll through, and then we will be back maybe at number 9 with the Seahawks because they've been busy bees in the off season. So we're going to step aside. You are watching and listening to the Fox 43 NFL Draft Frenzy that we are going through pick by pick. So stay with us. We got plenty of good stuff coming up.